Little scrapyard action today. I'm gonna bring up a couple loads up here. Found some of these old fence posts. A little bit of copper off of a dishwasher and some vacuum cleaner cores. So I'm gonna bring up a few loads up here and see how I do. This is the scrapyard. It's just right down the street from where I live. They're open till 5 on Fridays and 1 during the rest of the week. I guess it works. That was a rare occasion where I actually found the charger, the battery, and the drill. That's a DeWalt. It's got some good value to it. I've got to be careful before I start snipping cords off stuff. Oops, there goes $50. Let's see. Bring in some of this good stuff. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna bring in this copper last. I'm bringing the copper last. I don't want that. That's one thing to leave tins sitting around and other cheaper stuff, but people start seeing that country gold and it might disappear, so I'll leave that sitting here for the last load. I'm not going to bring in a whole lot of stuff, but it's going to be some nice value to it. This scrapyard is a little different than the other one I go to in some of my videos. This scrapyard gives number 2 insulated copper wire for everything, as long as I cut the ends off. So like this junk wire, cut the end off, get number 2 insulated for that. This Cat 5 wire, that's got its own category to the other scrapyard. I cut the end off of that, I get number 2 for that. As far as I know, they only have 2 categories, number 1 and number 2 insulated copper at the scrapyard, so that's kind of bad for the lower price on the Cat 5, but of course it's a higher price for the junk wire. Like this would be a junk wire, so I guess it kind of balances out, huh? Okay, I guess somewhere. This scrapyard is not good with brass. They don't even have a category for a dirty brass. They just do brass, as far as I know. Unless they've changed, I don't think they have. They just do brass and then like breakage. So I always take my brass to that other yard you see me at a lot. And I've actually got a good amount of brass around here. I'll take some brass to this yard. Like I got that brass clock in there. I decided to scrap that. I'll show that to you later. And like this, I'll take this kind of brass to this yard. Just, you know, good clean brass. They do have a brass category, but when you start taking brass like that to them, see it's got a rubber gasket in there. See that? So they're kind of touchy with, there's a little copper. They're a little touchy on the brass, a little picky on the brass. So it's just, the only brass I ever take there is just good, clean, yellow brass. So like that other scrapyard give me a white brass for this, unless it's tin. The other scrapyard give me a white brass for that. Unless it's yellow. Yeah, the other scrapyard give me a white brass for that. So that's the only scrapyard I know of that'll give me $1.80 a pound for white brass. You can just throw it down with my yellow brass. Most scrapyards probably will not do that, but some aluminum breakage there. But I'm actually, you know what? I like to take in my lower price stuff, leaving it sit there. But I don't leave it sit there for long, so it'll probably be all right. I gotta watch out for people thinking I'm cutting in front of them. This is gonna be a nice little quick short value session. I was thinking about stripping that out, but I think I'll save that for another day. So you know what, I think this is gonna be enough. I think I'll this scrapyard isn't all that great with electric motors. I actually haven't checked the price or the way they categorize those lately. But I like taking my electric motors to that other scrapyard where I take the brass, and it's just kind of the way I've been doing it for a long time. So maybe I give out information that might not be exactly right at this point, but anyways, let's see. So brass there, brass there. That lead acid battery in there. It's a heavy one. Some are a lot heavier than others. I'm gonna say it's at least 35 pounds. There's another lead acid battery in this battery, that car jumper pack right there. That's a nice one. It's got USB ports and stuff. I wonder if that's one you could charge with solar panels. I probably could, huh? I'm gonna see if that one works before I go ripping it apart. But there's a nice lead acid battery, similar to a car battery. Maybe 20 pounds or so. And if you ever come across one of those that doesn't work, there's nice chunky copper cables on there. Nice chunky stuff, just like a jumper cable. And then they're not that long, but nice lead acid battery. It's just a few screws. Take out a few screws and the plastic case just falls off. So I think this is gonna be it. I was gonna do another load after this, but I think this will get the job done. My goal for today is to get 20 $27 or more into my bank account to pay my Discover credit card, and I do believe this is gonna do it. If I come up short, I will just I originally rented these out because I lived 8 miles that way, 7 miles that way in a different town. I originally rented this out because they're close to that scrapyard. I'd come up here, so I lived down there. I had my little central operations at the house I rented, and then I come up here to this other town, and this was my center of operations for this whole area with a scrapyard there. And then I lived right up the hill from a scrapyard down there. So those of you that watch my videos, you know how I operate. And then up north I had a big stash hole, you know, empty lot, abandoned, overgrown lot, up to another scrapyard that's about 8 miles that way. So I had little center operations up there in that town 8 miles away, little center operations here in this town in the middle, and then I lived down there, little center operations down that town. So those of you that watch my videos, you know how I do that. If I come up a little short, I'll come back and I'll snatch up like that lawnmower and maybe this typewriter, and if I had to, I'd scrap out that copper. So this is basically just like a little bank account. For those of you new to my videos, I have 2 units down here completely stuffed to the gills with stuff. There's really not much scrap metal in there, actually. Most of the scrap metal I have is here. I can take that keg in and get a pretty penny for that, and I've been trying to track down the place to take it. They think it might have came from the distributor, so I might just end up taking that to the scrapyard. It'd be a $50 deposit if I can find a place to take it back to, but I need to put a little time into that. And then anyways, I think you got the idea. I'm not trying to break records and make fancy, amazing YouTube titles and try to clickbait people. I'm just giving out the real deal scavenger, how I do it. I'm not saying my way is better or not telling anyone to do it like this. Sometimes people kind of seem to get, it's almost like a trap. People ask me why I do it the way I do it, and I explain it, but then other people hear me explain it and they think I'm talking down to them, or or telling people, you know, do it this way, not that way, you know. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm just showing what I do. I'm not this one will go down here. That's heavy enough for a floorboard, actually. Hey, look at that. I want to turn that loose on the streets. That came off one of those fence posts. I suppose that wouldn't do a whole lot. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm not after an amazing clickbait title. Now, granted, if I find $300, a little cell phone. If I find $500 worth of copper and take it to Scrapyard, I will definitely make a YouTube title so I can get lots of views. Amazing jackpot, $500, you know. But oh, it's a heavy dog. Most of my videos are just going to be this type of stuff, you know, reality type videos that anyone out there watching could basically go do right now if they had to or wanted to. The gist being, most people watching jackpot and amazing amounts of money videos on YouTube generally aren't going to be able to step out their door and go do it themselves, right? It takes some people years to get hooked up with like air conditioning and heating places and electricians and auto shops. You know, it takes contacts, and it can take a real long time to develop those relationships, and that's where some of those amazing amounts of money and scrap metal come from on YouTube. And like I say, I'm not talking down to anyone. I'm not saying anything negative. I know some people skip around in videos and don't really listen to everything, but that's wonderful. If you can find contacts like that, if you can get hooked in with electricians and air conditioning people, plumbers and stuff that just will give you their scraps, I mean, there's nothing better than that, right? Or maybe split the money with them or something. That's probably the way most people would make a lot of money doing this. But for the vast majority of people out there watching, if you need to pay a credit card bill or keep your electricity on or keep your car from being repoed or your house from being foreclosed, trying to find a word, had repo stuck in my mind, house foreclosed on, if you need to pay your mortgage, you know, you got something you got to do and you don't have any money, this is something you can do. I get this from dumpster diving, but lots of people can live in a place where they can just drive down the street on trash day and just take people's trash off the curb. There's tons of stuff that people throw away. They don't really do that where I live, so I'm focused on mainly just dumpster diving and just scavenging from what's been discarded into the public domain. Make me work up a sweat, man. There's a big difference between lifting 35, 40 pounds from here to here. Well, I guess that's probably closer to 80, 90 pounds altogether. But a big difference between lifting 80 or 90 pounds, 12 inches with your thighs and legs, as opposed to needing to get the bottom of this tote to this level, which means I've got to lift that weight up here to eye level, right? It's not easy lifting 80, 90, 100 pounds to eye level. So I was gonna say that when I brought in that big piece of steel the other day, that 18-wheeler brake drum. This place cleared out quick. Wasn't going that long. Everything's still here. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take about 10 minutes or so and just cut all these plug-ins off here like so. I got something stuck in my snips, but I'll separate it out and show it to you before I take it up there. That's probably how most scrapyards will make you handle brass. So at this scrapyard I have to be real careful not to leave any stuff on there. I might actually pull some more of that off there. That should be probably okay. But it's a nice piece of brass. I might be getting people into a bad habit making YouTube videos at that other scrapyard where there's steel screws stuck in aluminum like that. I get clean aluminum for that, and most scrapyards will probably have to have that off of there. This scrapyard's pretty good with aluminum though, so I think they're gonna be clean for that. And clean for these crutches. Some scrapyards might require you to take all that plastic off there. If that's how all the scrapyards are where you live, then that's kind of a bummer, because that's a lot of extra work. That'd be the difference. Like clean aluminum would be like, say, 40 cents a pound, and aluminum breakers might be 10 cents a pound. So 40 cents or 10 cents a pound for that whole deal. It's a big difference. So I have a suspicion most of you people will probably have to clean up a lot of your stuff if you want the best price possible, which is time consuming. I was gonna put these in the Freetail store, but then I slung a disgusting dirty cord across them, so that's kind of gross. This is just how this scrapyard does it. As you can see, one of these places over here brought in some metal on foot. This place basically has two lines. They got one for big vehicles, and then they got one for people to walk in up to the scale. So this is just how they do it. This is how they tell people to do it. Some scrapyards probably would not want you to do it like this. I don't want to give out bad information. Ask your scrapyard what you can and can't do, and just ask them, blah blah blah. I can't tell you what scrapyards want you to do where you live. Might be a pound right there of motor. Let's see what she does with that. Let's see. I found it. I was gonna keep this little and sign. Look at that. I found that working condition, but I went to set it aside over here, and the on-off switch is gone. And the very last thing, the very last item, I organized this, literally laying on the ground. The last thing I was gonna put in the wheelbarrow. There it is. Let's see if it works. Oh! I saw it though. I saw it for a brief second there. And there's some Freetail swaggy. I'm stacking keyboards in my storage unit for the silver Mylars. Maybe one day. Lithium ion battery doesn't go here. And this little bottle of eau de toilette. Going to the Freetail store. And I think that's gonna wrap it up. I'm going to wheel this wheelbarrow up there, and I don't have that much tin. I just got 2 totes of tin. I could probably take it all up there in a wheelbarrow. Okay, so what I've got here is number 2 insulated copper wire. I've got a couple pieces of number 1 in there, but it's no big deal. Lead acid battery, dirty stainless steel woven. Nah, I got it. Woven stainless steel hose. A little bit of aluminum breakage in there. Those are stainless steel. Those 2 nuggets right there. I got the brass. I got the copper. I've got a fair amount. I've got a fair amount of short steel. All these kinds of pieces like this, and steel hinges. And that's a nice little load of short steel. Under here, I've got some aluminum. I didn't have enough cans to weigh, so I just threw those in with my aluminum. And what else is in there? This is in there, and this is like the tin shred. This is like the garbage metal. This is all the leftovers. Just throw all the junk in there. I mean, it's good stuff. Like that would be a piece of short steel, but see, it's got that plastic fitting. So it just goes as tin shred. A couple of those in there. Aluminum capacitor, I don't do anything with, just throw in a tin shred. Then I got these fence posts I'm gonna stack up here. Got a little pile of garbage I need to get rid of here. It's wonderful, everyone's favorite plastic. Okay, now it's ready to go. That stuff's not mine. I held back some of those magnets I found the other day, so I'm gonna stick these here, and I can't keep them all together because they may all fall off, but I'm gonna make an attempt to never be caught without a magnet again. Let's see, how about I put some over here, a couple over there, a couple over here, put one over here, put one over here. Emergency magnet reserve fund. So that's $45 and some change. I overshot. That place doesn't give itemized receipts, so it's nothing to look at. But for those of you new, that copper is about $3.50 a pound. The brass is about $1.70, $1.80 a pound. Aluminum's about 30 to 40 cents a pound. Insulated copper wire, that number 2, all that stuff I had, all that wire was that stuff's gonna be about $1.15, $1.20 a pound, $1.10 a pound. And what else do I have? That short steel is gonna be like 8, 9, 10 cents a pound right now. Prices are really good. And tin shred, that garbage stuff, is gonna be about 7 cents a pound at that other scrapyard the other day. I sure hope you enjoyed the show. I don't want this to blow away. Sure hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, thanks for watching.